Hi there. Later, why an anti-queer Polish lawmaker's banned from Parliament. First though, Dutch novelist Yael van der Wouden's used an award acceptance speech to reveal she's intersex.
This little fact defined my life throughout my teens until I advocated for the healthcare that I needed, the surgery and the hormones that I needed, which not all intersex people need. Not all intersex people feel at odds with their gender presentation.
Her romance novel The Safekeeps won this year's Women's Prize for Fiction in London. The 38-year-old also took the opportunity to pay tribute to transgender people.
I am receiving truly the greatest honour of my life as a woman. And that is because of every single trans person who's fought for healthcare, who changed the system, the law, societal standards themselves. I stand on their shoulders.
Yael wins £30,000. Her book's been described as a classic in the making. A far-right Polish lawmaker is now banned from the country's parliament after he vandalised an LGBTQ+ exhibition there. Grzegorz Braun, who looks like a serial killer, tore down display boards and stamped on them so they broke in half. Plus, 2 years ago, he used a fire extinguisher to put out candles in the Polish parliament, marking the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. And Monroe Bergdorf, the transgender model and activist, has been named one of the 25 most influential women in the UK. She's on a yearly list drawn up by Vogue magazine. They say there couldn't be a more urgent time for the work she does in advocating for trans people. No time to tell you that. Seoul's queer parade has seen around 30,000 South Koreans turn out. And 2 Mexican women have got married inside the country's embassy in Guatemala, upsetting all the right people. Hi there. Later, Mr. Australasia Bear 2025. First though, you know Hungary's ban on pride events? Well, the mayor of Budapest reckons he's found a way around it. Gergely Karasyons posted a video ahead of the capital's own Pride celebration planned for next week. Says if it's organised as a municipal event, it's fine, because then there's no need for any official permission. The sly old fox.
Budapest's 152-year history is a history of freedom and solidarity. In this city, there are no first and second-class citizens. In this city, we know that we are either free together or not at all. That is why neither freedom nor love, nor Budapest pride can be banned in this city.
Far-right Prime Minister Viktor Orban had said organisers shouldn't bother with Budapest Pride this year. As we've mentioned previously, he's targeting queer people to divert attention from his failing government. Slovakia is again being asked to scrap plans to change its constitution so it doesn't recognise transgender people. Human rights organisation the Council of Europe says the amendments would deny the realities of trans and intersex individuals. The law in Slovakia already fails to acknowledge them, but if the constitution's changed, it means any future attempts to put things right would be much more complicated. This is what your right-wing politicians are prioritising. The cost of living still going up though. And the Mr. Australasia Bear competition's crowned its first transgender winner. Jeb Mahi-Brown, aka Mr. Bear Perth, has taken the title at this year's event in Melbourne. 6 hairy competitors from Australia and New Zealand battled it out with performances and personal stories. Jeb told the audience he'd let his younger self know it's good to be alive. No time to tell you that. Lesbian politician Claudia Lopez is running to be president of Colombia. And Katy Perry's made a surprise appearance at a club in Melbourne and paid for everyone's drinks for an hour. Light and shade this podcast, light and shade. Hi there. Later, Oscar Wilde gets a free pass. First though, claims grown adults have been left concerned and confused. Grown adults over an invite to a lesbian bishop to speak at an Irish cathedral. Bonnie Perry, who preaches in Michigan in America, was a guest at the yearly Pride service last week at Dublin's Christchurch Cathedral. It's seen pushback from various religious bodies in Ireland and Northern Ireland, some along the lines of Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, because she's got a wife. Bonnie recently put out this message to mark Pride Month.
Whether you are trans, lesbian, gay, bisexual. You are made in God's image and likeness. And I want us to celebrate that and have pride and know that you are profoundly loved by God.
As part of a sermon in Dublin, Bonnie said, "We of the queer community are good enough and we should speak our truth." Some of Australia's restrictions on blood donation affecting gay and bisexual men and transgender women are being lifted. Means most people in a sexual relationship of 6 months or more with a single partner will be allowed to donate, regardless of their sexuality or gender. And all restrictions are being lifted when it comes to plasma, the liquid part of blood. You knew that. And Oscar Wilde's reading pass is being reinstated by the British Library 130 years after being revoked because he was gay. They withdrew it in 1895 when the Irish author and playwright was sentenced to 2 years hard labour for gross indecency with men. The pass is going to be presented to Oscar's grandson at an event in October. No time to tell you that the orange convicted felon and sexual abuser who runs America has failed yet again in his attempts to erase transgender people. A judge has ruled the comb-over king can't limit sex markers on passports, and the National Museum of the Philippines has been lit up in rainbow colours 'cause Pride Month. Hi there. Later, military insight from a gay bar near the Pentagon. First though, jail for the 5 scum-of-the-earth teenagers who use Grindr to viciously assault gay men with the likes of a machete, a metal bar, pepper spray and a taser. The boys, aged between 15 and 17, lured their victims to a park in Perth, Australia last September, having made out they're older than they are. One victim was robbed and left unconscious, with naked images of him posted online. There have been similar incidents across Australia. Jack Jacobs was targeted by as many as 8 teenagers in Melbourne.
I just tried to bolt. I remember them getting me to the ground and they were all just kicking me repeatedly all over. I distinctively remember every time they kicked me in the head, everything went white. Can't remember how, but I got away from them. I went to dial 000 on my phone, but it was covered in blood, so I had to physically peel the screen protector off.
Thanks to Channel 10. The teens behind the Perth attacks have got between 2 years, 2 months juvenile detention and a year and a half inside. Next, America's Supreme Court's upheld a ban on gender-affirming care for trans young people in Tennessee. Means legal challenges against similar restrictions in place in 24 other states will probably fail now. Judges ruled restrictions on the likes of puberty blockers and hormone therapy for under 18s don't constitute discrimination. And Iran could get a heads up about potential attacks from Israel by checking how busy a gay bar is in Washington, D.C. Here's the theory. If Freddy's Beach Bar near the Pentagon is unusually quiet, that means government officials are tied up responding to world events. And monitoring by the Pentagon Pizza Report observes another giveaway, the number of orders for pizza from takeaways close to America's Defense Department. No time to tell you that. American pro volleyball player Eric Shoji's come out as queer. An LGBTQ+ mental health app, Voders, raised £650,000 to expand its support for queer people worldwide. Hi there. We're a bit longer today because I have no self-control. Later, the pink plane making right-wingers see red. First though, Stephen Fry reckons Harry Potter's wicked grandma has been radicalised by anti-transgender feminists. The performer actually used to be friends with her and narrated all the Potter audiobooks, but now he says grandma's cruel, wrong and mocking opinions are weird and he sees her as a lost cause. Stephen's spoken up for trans people on many occasions.
They face enough difficulties in stepping up to who they really are and becoming who they know they were born to be. And I think we all really owe it to them to show our support and to fight against transphobia, which is an ugly scar in the world at the moment.
The 67-year-old's been criticised previously for not cutting ties with grandma. Says she used to be charming, funny and interesting, and as we all know, she ain't any of those things no more. The mayor of Budapest is shrugging off yet another attempt to stop next week's Pride March. Police there have just announced a ban, in addition to the Hungarian government's on Pride events. But Gergely Karason reckons that's all irrelevant because of the way he's organised things as a municipal event. Dozens of members of the European Parliament plan to attend. Next, a new and probably one-off feature, things that make you want to smack yourself in the face until it actually becomes pleasant. America's National Queer Youth Suicide Prevention Hotline's being shut down after accusations of radical gender ideology by the country's radical right-wing government. The UK's ban on puberty blockers is having serious adverse effects on transgender young people, if you go by some research from the University of London. And since Instagram, Facebook and Threads diluted their hate speech rules in January, more than a quarter of queer users say they've been directly targeted. And no, you right-wing wrong'uns, a Royal Air Force plane hasn't been painted pink for Pride Month. Calm down, you prejudiced little pea-brains. Knuckle-headed bedwetters who live to be offended have fallen for the satire from the RAF Luton spoof social media account. It claimed the aircraft would be repainted every 4 days to a different colour of the rainbow at a cost of £85,000. No time to tell you that. A protest against Hungary's Pride ban takes place tomorrow outside the country's embassy in London. And Pride events most definitely happening this weekend include Puerto Rico in the Caribbean and Colombo in Sri Lanka. I'm Kev McGraw. See you next week.